So chat, you guys remember Multiverse? Does anyone remember about Multiverse? You know? Apparently the game might be shutting down, you know? So that's what I heard anyways. I don't know if it's true or anything like that, but yeah.
Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're going to be talking about the impending shutdown of Multiverses, and I guess this is also more of just a general topic video about the gaming industry because realistically, Multiverses is only the most recent and one of the more notable examples of a game that just went to the graveyard, and I mean that quite literally. This has been a pretty common problem, I think, in the gaming industry over the last few years where
When did Multiverse got released? Let me see. Multiversus release date. Oh, when was it released? So the game fully released in May 28th of 2024. Nine months it was alive. Well, at least it was longer than Concord, I have to say. How many players are playing? Ooh. Well, there's a spike right here that people said that the game was shutting down. So these are probably like YouTubers that are playing it right here. And then it just went down and 367 people are playing it right now. The highest peak it got was 1,320. Yikes. Damn. That's crazy. Oh, really? No, like live service games can work. The problem is the managing it is what makes them super greedy and they want all the money. That's the problem, you know? Take a look at a freaking Marvel Rivals. It's doing pretty damn good right now. So I'm just saying. Compared to Multiverse, what I heard, right? This is what I heard about Multiverse, right? Because I was kind of looking into it a little bit. So apparently, they had it had more of like a mobile game as kind of grind or so. So basically, if you wanted to get a certain character, you had to go through like a bunch of missions in order for you to get a certain character. Just to get it early, to play it early, right? You have to do a bunch of mission stuff. But if you have the special currency, right? The special currency to buy the hero, apparently it doesn't matter, right? You still have to grind the mission in order for you to get the character. And apparently that's for like 2 weeks early too as well. If you want to play the character 2 weeks early, apparently you have to like do a bunch of missions and grind or so in order for you to unlock it, and then you pay with the premium currency, and that's how that's how you do it apparently. Yeah, I heard that the grind was not the greatest thing about the game itself. That's what I heard. They said that literally like it just kind of like wasted your time a lot. You know, it didn't respect your time, just like how Kamika is saying. It just did not respect your time whatsoever. It was like more of like a second job, you know.
we'll see these new ambitious titles being promised where tens if not hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, because Warframe is it's one of the most longest live service games around, right? And it's been doing pretty well on its own.
being spent by these big studios to acquire the rights to franchises or make these games that will last for 3 months. And in this case, it's kind of a mixture of both, because according to online sources that I found, Multiversus performed so poorly that it burned a $100 million hole in the pocket of Warner Brothers. So they have announced that on May 30th, the entire game
that one
will
in
be
Marvel
shutting
Rivals,
down, which I think is the conclusion of season 5 in game. So Multiverse is shutting down. Honestly, I figure not that many people are really heartbroken about it at this point.
No.
Personally, I don't know anyone who is actually still playing the game. I mean, when the game first came out, I tried it. I know a lot of people that I know
did
were
not.
playing it
I
as
did
well,
not try
but
it.
like a lot of these modern games that come out, right, it was only, for us at least, fun for like, what, a week or two? And then it was right back to the game collecting dust. Now, this is a pretty significant issue to have when you're releasing like a live service game, which Multiversus was, where you're doing like seasonal content and these content update drops and shit like that.
Speaking about the content, I heard that, I don't know if this is true or anything. QB can probably let me know, but I don't know if he played any of the updates or anything. Apparently, what I heard is that at the beginning of like the starting point and before the next season, apparently they were dropping so much content super early for some apparent reason. Like they were dropping so many characters pretty fast for some odd apparent reason. I don't know if it's true or not, because like I said, I've never played the game. I wasn't really that interested in it personally. But apparently that was the one thing that was like at the beginning of the game, of the life cycle of the game, like they were just dropping content so fast, so rapidly. But then the latter half of the game's life cycle, the content started becoming less, you know?
That adding new characters or new maps or whatever the game really needs. It seems like every video game now is going this route where, like I said, it has to last for 7 years. They've got this long roadmap where, oh, we're going to release content, we're going to have seasons, we need to have a battle pass, this needs to constantly be updated, right? Now, I'm sure, obviously, everyone knows that some games can pull this off. I mean, you look at a game like Fortnite, there's new content literally all the time. They do a pretty good job, I would say, at actually keeping things fresh, but the problem is every game tries to emulate that model, and Multiversus is a perfect example of it. So let's go ahead and discuss what really, in my opinion, went wrong with Multiversus. The first part was the game itself just honestly wasn't good enough to keep up. Now, like I said,
thank you for the follow. Welcome.
This is before they shut down the quote-unquote open beta and then re-released the game, which I'll get into that here in a minute. But
oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like they released the game like a couple years ago, and then like they took it away, and then they brought it back, and then that's what they decided to do, you know?
I remember first playing the game and only like 3 or 4 characters were even usable. Everybody was using the same 4 fucking characters because they were the only ones that people thought mattered. They were the only ones with moves that people wanted to use. They were the more recognizable characters, whatever, right? Now, in a fighting game like Multiversus, you would really want it to be something where you can actually enjoy any character, right? I mean, the whole point of Multiversus is the fact that you're taking all these Warner Brothers properties, many popular franchises, comic book characters, cartoon characters, things like that, right? And you're mashing them all in the same thing.
Yeah.
So when it turns out that only a handful of the characters are even really fucking usable to begin
They
with,
were
it
broken.
really doesn't bode well in terms of an experience for people. And then, of course, like I said, they, I guess, launched the game, right? Everyone got on it, it got popular, and then a few months later they go, oh, hey, by the way, this entire time you've been playing the game you have content for, maybe even bought things for, right? Yeah, well, it was an open beta, actually, and so we're gonna take the game down and then re-release it in a few months.
Yeah.
And this time it'll be the full game, we promise. This was one of the dumbest fucking decisions I've ever seen a game take. You put the game out, everybody starts playing it. Notably, you know, as many games do, there was probably a fall off in players or whatever after the first couple days or weeks. That's pretty much across the board what happens, but they just decided, fuck it, let's kill all momentum that we've already built up. Let's call this the open beta that players have already participated in, and then let's re-release it later with new shit. Now, the problem is people like me, that was the moment we jumped ship and we were really tuned out. I mean, you had the time, the window.
I think that move, that specific move that they did or so, completely, you know, completely destroyed the game itself. Its reputation at the end of the day.
To really get my interest, and that's kind of what a video game should have, right? I shouldn't have to reconsider playing your game every year to figure out whether or not it's good enough to play now. The idea is the first time that I play, I'm hooked, I want to play it from there, right? Any successful game that I've ever played, that's been the case. But for this game, they thought that, oh, if we just re-release it later, maybe we can recapture the magic. But the problem is, you know, there's so many video games coming out. Like I said, everyone's doing the live service shit now. Everybody wants to be Fortnite. Every AAA game has—
I mean, that's how DC work.
to have a $200 million budget. It has to have fucking 3 years of content planned and microtransactions ready to go. And it gets to the point where you forget all the basics, like actually capturing the audience's attention and keeping it. And it turns out when you spend hundreds of millions of dollars to make a game that's, you know, constantly updated with new shit, you're, like I said, doing seasonal content, battle passes, DLC, whatever. It turns out that that model only works if you can keep people's attention. So when they just like unreleased the fucking game, I was like, yeah, I'll never play this again. I don't care if there's 700 characters and it's the greatest fighting game ever. I'll never play this shit again, because what is exactly the point? I've already had that come and go. So of course they did end up re-releasing it, and the game never caught on again, you know, not at least to the degree that it did the first time around. And then now, like I said, Warner Brothers, they're sitting there with a $100 million hole burnt through their pocket because of this game. So it's not like this is a game with a unique story when it comes to this, in terms of it like basically fucking itself over, getting in its own way, tripping over its own shoelaces. Like I said, this is way too common of an occurring problem in the gaming industry. Everybody is trying to chase the success of Fortnite. They're trying to constantly do live service, but you really can't do that. I'm sorry, you can't compete with a game like Fortnite. 95% of these developers just don't have what it takes. They don't have the studio, they don't have the IP, whatever it may be. Now in this case, it's not even like the concept of the game was bad or anything. I mean, it's a fighting game based on already established characters and franchises. You've got fucking Scooby-Doo and Adventure Time and Batman and Superman, you know, shit that people already recognize. You're already picking up with a fucking shovel full of gold. I mean, it's not like the whole superhero shtick or whatever is not working in gaming. I mean, if you've ever taken a look recently, Marvel Rivals is like the biggest fucking game in the world right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and assume that maybe games like this aren't necessarily doomed to fail. It turns out when you take a popular IP and you make a game people actually want to play based around it, you can make money. But in modern gaming, there's this massive issue where, you know, the franchising, the marketing, that's the shit that's getting all of this budget, you know? Well, we're building a game that's based on all these popular characters, so we'll spend the money to license that, or I don't even know if they actually have to license, because, I mean, it's coming straight from Warner Brothers, right? So I don't even think they really have to pay licensing fees, but they spend all this money creating all of this shit, trying to build out this, like, big roadmap and plan, and in the meantime, they just completely fucking overlook the actually important, critical part of making the game worth playing. Yes, you can market a game that has all of these franchises and recognizable characters, but if the game itself is not good and that gameplay loop isn't like fucking clicking that addiction thing in your brain, right, where it's like, man, I really want to play this when I get off work, there's never going to be sustained success. Sure, you might get away with like a season or two of content where people are still on or whatever, but if you can't keep them enthralled for more than like 2 months, nothing like this is going to last. And the problem is, it probably wouldn't even have mattered that much if the entire game premise wasn't based around this, right? It's like a online multiplayer fighting game where basically all of the game is revolving around that online shit. I mean, you look at a game like Smash Bros, right? Or a franchise, I should say. It's not like Nintendo is having trouble selling copies of that shit. Fighting games...
They said it's not a live service game. That's what they said. But who knows? Who knows how... But I know that the same director who did Elden Ring is not leading the project for the spin-off game. He has no hands. He has no hands in it, so
themselves are still, you know, there's a very dedicated community. There's still money to be made. But all these game companies seem to be completely fucking mystified. Why can't we make money? I mean, we're doing the DLC and the battle passes and the live service like everybody else. Why aren't we making money doing it? I can't comprehend how video games cost as much as they are to make. I mean, Warner Brothers Games, the company that made this game, I just looked it up, they have almost 1,100 employees, according to pitchbook.com. I really don't want to be that guy, but I don't think Multiversus needed a studio of 1,100 fucking employees.
That's fucking crazy, dude. 1,100 people working on this single game? What other studio has that amount of people? Maybe Rocksteady? Question mark? Or not Rocksteady. Rockstar. My bad. Rockstar. That's a lot of people, to be honest, to be working on this game. I don't think you need that many employees. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm just trying to think or so. I'm like, I don't understand what would they be doing?
Working on it to make this game work. I don't think that was necessary. We don't know the exact budget of the game, but we do know that Warner Brothers openly admitted it cost them $100 million because it underperformed so poorly that once again, they're shutting the game down.
Wow, they spent $100 million on the game itself? Man, dude, I wonder where all that money is going to. I'm very curious. I'm very curious where the fuck that money is going off to.
Barely lasted a full year beyond its actual quote-unquote release date when it got re-released after the quote-unquote open beta. And it's not like this is a Warner Brothers Games exclusive issue. This is a common problem in gaming, and a lot of it has seen, like, you know, these companies are laying off employees. You see a lot of gaming companies are basically trying to reduce work count because they don't need all of these employees to produce what they're producing. So the budgets are just so fucking bloated. There's so much input from so many different directions. There's all this pressure to follow this other business model everyone else is doing, and it's just a recipe for disaster for almost every single company in gaming. I mean, even the like massive AAA companies like Activision Blizzard or EA, right? They can't even get away with doing this shit. I mean, when you look at Call of Duty, like a game like that is always going to make money and it's always going to, you know, produce a profit compared to what they put into it. But it's not like them employing these thousands upon thousands of fucking people is making video games any better. In fact, many people would argue it's making them worse. And I don't know if it's just me or what at this point, but personally,
But they added the microtransaction into it. So they added like more other stuff, you know, more other microtransaction stuff. It came back, but like it's still the same, right? But like they added more microtransaction stuff is what I heard.
I don't
know how true that is, but yeah.
To have this 3-year roadmap of, oh, this is how much DLC we're gonna do. How much of the cool features of the game can we cut out and put behind paywalls? How much more fucking characters can we add? I don't need that. When it comes to video games, there's such a high turnover, right? Because there's always new games coming out. I mean, let's be real. At the end of this year, Grand Theft Auto 6 is anticipated to be hitting the shelves. Pretty much everybody else is going to be on notice because guess what? No matter what game you have, what people are playing, people are going to be playing GTA 6. And then 6 months after that, there will be another massive blockbuster that comes along. Even before that, right? Like, there's so much shit out there to play. Not every game has to be this
King, you're gonna go to bed?
Thing. And the fact that every game studio wants to make everything like that is the reason why, time and time again, they're putting themselves in deep water they can't swim out of. They're spending way too much fucking money. The strategy is way too fucking poor. The quality of what they're putting out most of the time is way too fucking poor, and there's just so much competition in almost every genre. No game really wants to stand out anymore. You know what I mean? That's the way it really seems. There's a handful of games that'll do it every year, but a lot of the time they're indie games. And I mean, when you think about that, like, do you think these indie games that come along every year that help shake shit
I'm
up,
drunk as fuck right now. Kick W? No.
They're not. It's almost like you don't need to spend $250 million, have a 2-year plan, and try to copy Fortnite to make a good video game. And unfortunately for Multiverses and Warner Brothers Games, they completely fried a product that realistically should have sold. It should have done well. It should have made them money. You should have had revenue coming in from that game. But instead, once again, they burned a hole in their pocket fucking around, and it's like nobody in the industry wants to learn their lesson on this one. So, I mean, Multiverses, it's not the first, definitely won't be the last of these games to fall apart and basically go offline, but such is the state of the gaming industry. I just wanted to talk about that. So, anyway, with that being said, thank you guys.
And that's not even the only one too as well. We had so many other games that shut down too. So it's kind of crazy to kind of see that. Well, good thing I didn't, you know. Take care, hun. Be safe. Thank you for coming by as always. Very much appreciated. So take care. But yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, you know, I never played this game. It really did not interest me whatsoever. I did respect the quality of it compared to the Nickelodeon version of it. I don't even know if the Nickelodeon version is has got any updates or anything like that. I forgot what was the Nickelodeon version of it. I know there was one that released before Multiverse and then Multiverse released afterwards. But oh well. Yeah, there's a Nickelodeon version of a Smash Bros, but I don't really remember the name though. I'm curious how that one did. But yeah, anyways, like I said before, there's a lot of new games that are shutting down these days, you know? But yeah. Yeah, it was Multiverse. That's what we were talking about. Dude! God. Shaking my head. Anyways, what a time, to be honest. What a time. It just feels like who was the owner? Was it WB? I think just WB is just greedy with their money. And then apparently they also want freaking Hogwarts Legacy #2, but apparently they want it in a shorter time frame apparently. So I actually do not like his videos, so they're too much for me personally. I think I watched only 2 videos from him and that was it. It's just too much for me. Too much editing for me. But yeah, like I said, you guys can comment, like, subscribe, do all that fancy jazzy stuff. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. Am I surprised that Multiverse is dead? No, I'm really not surprised because I knew that the game was not gonna do amazing, but I didn't think it was gonna do that terrible either. So, oh well, it is what it is. Maybe eventually we'll get some Smash Bros. Clone that's gonna be, I guess, good. But oh well, it is what it is. Well, that's the end of the video, and peace.